So Mia, we're live. Okay. So it is 4:03 on Thursday, December 3rd. I am Ginny Farber, chair of the 141 Portanimicut Task Force, and I will call this meeting to order. We're meeting virtually on Zoom and streaming on YouTube. The panelists on the task force are the following, and I'll take attendance. Ginny Farber, aye. Russ Holden. You're muted.
I mute Russ.
He's here, I see him. Jack Kazik. Suzanne Phillips is not with us today. Kayleen Rosado here. Also on the call are John Janelle, the conservation agent, ex officio, non-voting member, Christina Smith, our principal clerk, and Alan McLennan, who is here today, I believe, representing the Affordable Housing Trust. All votes will be by roll call. Members of the public are in listen mode only. I will open the meeting to public comment after every item of business. Please use your raise hand function and identify yourselves before speaking. So our first item of business today is to discuss the 141, sorry, that is the wrong agenda. Where is the correct agenda? Somebody tell me what the first agenda item is, since I've
New business.
buried it.
Follow up on Conservation Commission meeting of 12/1/20.
Thank you, Jack. I have it now. Thanks. I got my trash pile mixed up with my to-do list. So follow up on the Conservation Commission meeting of 12/1/20. So as you know, John sent a memo to the Conservation Commission following our last meeting of November 5th, I believe. We discussed in open session on Tuesday that memo discussing the interim decision that the trust made to remove the house from the site. The Conservation Commission requested that we finish the process. They did not want to take any action or have in-depth discussion about our interim decision until the full report was pulled together, in great part because they felt that there was no room in the charge for that interim step. So that's what's going to happen.
Jenny?
Yes, John.
I apologize. The task force, in the last task force we had for Kent's Point, we had in our charge interim reports. We don't have that with this group. So as Ginny highlighted, it was the feeling of some of the conservation commissioners that the interim report was premature. And reflecting back on your charge, you know, they had a sound basis for that. So commission didn't take any action on your vote. They're certainly aware of your vote as it relates to the building. And so they discussed that, but they're really at this point going to wait to hear from you and in the context of your final report. And we did announce, Ginny, that the strategy going forward is to get a draft report to them and have a joint public hearing.
Yes.
Where the public can be engaged by both groups.
Yes.
So we'll start working on this draft. We'll do that at this level, sharing that in whatever form it is when it's to be discussed with these agendas and these packets, and then we'll get together as a group. And I think I suggested Tuesday morning that might be like next month. That's still pretty aggressive given that we haven't started writing yet. So
Right.
The help of a couple of scribes at this level would be helpful to the office.
As John has suggested, the final report will probably be a 2 or 3 page letter, and then there will be all the documentation. Our internal surveys, all the minutes, I would say links to any tapes that we have, summaries of discussions with the chief of police, what's going forward with the site plans, and
Yeah, and I think I reserve the right to bounce a couple of formats off you guys, but in looking back on what we did for Kent's Point was the one that recently was updated with a task force like this. I think we did like a 3-part final report. It was kind of like a cover letter piece. Then there was like a immediate items for action piece. There was a piece summarizing the process. So I'm going to reflect on that again and like offer up a structure and draft as we start to put together for you guys, like probably based on that. That's something I think served the commission well and the public well. And that also had a joint public hearing at the end as a draft. So I'm probably going to do that. So that might involve a 3rd part, but I'll look at that and we'll start to look at that together as a group soon.
okay. So our task is clear. We thought we might be taking a break for a little bit, but we're just going to go right into the writing. I have offered to help with editing. Jack has offered to help with editing. So I think we should be able to get this pulled together, and then we'll bring it as we get it done, right? John will bring it back to the task force.
Yeah, we have a little bit of work to do at this level. So this group should expect to see several iterations of a draft where you can comment and make sure we got it looking good. And then we'll polish that up to a final draft to share in that public hearing session, joint public hearing session.
Okay, perfect.
Unless you guys have a different idea, I think that was a good workflow that we did last.
Right.
Here, I'm not hearing much, so it sounds like we'll do that.
I think that sounds good. So the next thing we were going to discuss was to continue discussing conceptual site planning. And we had been waiting to see what the Conservation Commission had to say. So I don't think, Russ, that you had any new site plan revisions, did you?
Well, I actually did, but I didn't complete it enough where I felt comfortable about sending it to you. John had asked about flip-flopping the layouts. I tried doing that. I included sort of a sketch of a vehicle with a trailer parking parallel to the road. The problem with that one, John, when I did that, I could get about 3 cars and their trailers in there. So I'm still playing with it. In other words, at some point, I'm going to give you 4 concepts. The 2 that you already have revised a little bit, and then switching around with trailers and parking.
Okay, so this is like, Madam Chair, if I could, this is task 3 where we're reviewing public access, including the review of any parking, circulation, access, coordination with the adjacent municipal landing property, creation of new amenities. In this case, I guess some physical improvements. So if recommendations shall be made, consider limitations such as access control. We talked about that last time. We didn't really conclude that. That's the sticker thing. So on the concepts that you've looked at, I know you guys wanted to then circle back with the police chief who was here earlier in the year to see if he gravitated towards any one concept. And it's conceptual level planning at that time. So we could do that now. We had, I think, we've done 2, and they've been on our agenda and circulated as materials.
We actually have 3, I think, don't we?
Oh yeah, we have one with the building as well. So
Yeah.
there's 3.
No, yes, right. That's
Yeah, we had one with the building, and then after you voted the building,
the 3rd, yes.
we had 2 concepts with the site without the building. So we can bring those all there to see if there's any thoughts or whatever. We could circle back with them. Do you want to try to schedule that, or do you, if we're going to talk about a 4th concept, we should do so here first and share it with your packet material so everyone has a chance to look at it?
I don't know how often traffic and safety meets, so perhaps we need to reach out to them and find out
I think they meet as needed.
as needed.
Yeah.
And then I would suggest that we need to get on their agenda sometime after right after Christmas.
Are you gonna ask for a motion to that effect?
I can.
Let's do that.
Could I have a motion to that effect?
Do we have a meeting before Christmas?
We have one on the 17th.
So,
Is there a reason we can't do it then?
We can have it on our agenda for the motion? Or
No, can we meet with them before that and then have their discussion for our meeting on the 17th?
What John is suggesting is that if Russ has another site plan that should be included, that needs to be publicly aired at the meeting of the 17th, but we can go ahead and request that we be on their agenda for the next meeting after the 17th.
All right.
And just to be clear, I'm not sure when that would be, but.
But
yes.
we at least John would have authorization to go forward and find out.
So are we meeting with them to get their ideas?
No,
I would suggest, I mean,
review the site plans and
show them what you looked at and I guess see if they, I mean, coordination was part of this. So show them what they looked at, or we looked at, I'm sorry, and see if they have feelings to any one or many concepts.
right, because Chief McDonald said that our next step, once we got to that step, would be to get to traffic and I think it's traffic and safety.
I mean, the end game in mind is to understand if they gravitate towards one or the other, so we can include that preference in the final report to the commission.
Or what we're,
Yeah, I'm just thinking before Russ draws up like 25 plans for us, that maybe they might have, and just show them what he's got so far, and they might have some input as to, yes, this will work, no, that won't work, something like that, and then he can
Yeah,
take
we
those
can go.
ideas and go
We
from
can
there.
we can go there with the 3 that you've looked at. That's fine.
we can do that.
And try and meet with them sooner,
Yeah,
before our
it's
next
a
one.
low level discussion. It's not. If they like one, it's not going to construct it. Obviously, it's just we're sharing information in the report.
So
Because we did meet with them earlier on.
we could have a motion that generally says that we are going to share conceptual parking plans with them at their earliest convenience. And if that happens to be after the 17th, we can review Russ's latest iteration with the trailer parking and include that in the meeting. That might be the best way to go. Yes, Russ?
so what I can do is if you want to go with the 3 options, the one thing I would like to do, and this is per Jack's suggestion, is move the kayak storage onto the beach and put one more tree in. So the revisions would be, that's all the revisions would be. And those would be the 3 plans that we would submit to the traffic review.
I don't think that's not going to substantively change the parking.
No,
So I think we can move forward. These are not site plans that are going to go to the commission yet. These are just the site plans to go to traffic and safety.
Oh, they could go as some type of appendix, I guess, but
Absolutely, but
informational.
they're not our final.
Yeah, these are concept level.
so don't bother making any revisions at this time, or?
Maybe just the one with the trailer parking,
Okay.
if you have time.
Yep. No, next week I can get 3 plans. Well, there'd be 4 plans and I'll send them to John.
Okay.
Okay, so
well-
could we get a motion to move this to traffic and safety?
So moved.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Second.
Okay, so motion was by Russ and second by Jack. Any discussion by the task force? Kayleen? No? Okay. So all those in favor, it's going to be Ginny, I, Russ,
Aye.
Jack,
Aye.
and Kayleen. So that's
Aye.
400 to move this forward to the Traffic and Safety Committee, whenever that would be.
I will let you know. I make that request and I'll follow up with you on the schedule.
Okay, that's fabulous. Old business. Do we have old business? I see Alan on the call, so I'm guessing that he might want to talk about the Affordable Housing Trust meeting, but I don't think we have anything else that we need to discuss today because we've already dealt with our next steps with the land management plan.
Well, I have two things.
Oh,
Are we in agreement on the list of recommendations for use?
I
Have we
believe
included everything that's on table 2?
we have included that's from 10-8. We have included everything that is not in red.
So
and
everything from
and
bike
we-
racks to fishing.
we took out to fishing, right, and kayak storage. We took out the viewing observation deck, and we took out the shellfish propagation. So, and we took out swimming because that was that became beaching.
Last thing is, we had like a 30-second discussion about naming. Does anybody remember the note that somebody's
Miss
that
Beach,
is now Smith's Beach or Smith Beach?
It's
Yeah,
always
the-
been Smith's Beach.
And the town renamed it as such. So
Okay.
we're going to highlight that in
Thank you, Alan.
thank
in
you.
our. So actually, I already have that. When you see my first draft, you'll see.
That's in the deed, right? And the history.
Yes, so I shared an outline, but I'm starting to kind of flesh it out as we get closer to the end here. So under the overview of land.
Yep.
Yeah, we make mention to that May 7th, 2018 annual and special town meeting, Article 51. So,
Okay.
so we'll highlight that in the land overview section.
Okay.
The history section is more about Potmo and the Gilmore family, but those two dovetail to begin the report.
It'd be nice to have some of the history that Alan highlighted.
I think we have some of that covered. Alan, for the task force members, Alan gave a brief oral history of the neighborhood, and I actually don't have the boathouse move that Alan talked to us about in the report, but to the extent you guys want that in there, we can include that as well.
Might be interesting.
You can't have the boathouse. I have it.
Yeah,
No,
I
but
don't have the move. I only have the
we can have the narrative.
yeah.
If you want to get,
I think I have that transfer as written up as over several decades. The land owned by the Smiths was divided and transferred until finally in 1977, Ann J. Gilmore was granted the rights to title. So that's how I summarized it. Alan summarized it a little differently during the update to the commission on Tuesday.
Okay. Well, maybe we can shoot Alan a memo and he can be a scribe on that piece.
Yeah, he can also make comments on drafts too.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Any other old business that the commission, that the task force thinks
Well,
we
just on the outline. So I'm old business. I'm going to use the outline that we circulated a few meetings ago, and I'm starting to put those pieces together. So that's what you'll first see. So I still think we might report it differently, but maybe I can provide like another outline that you may want to move the pieces into. we're on the Kents Point Task Force, we kind of had, and I should have printed it, had in front of me, but we had almost a report on things to be taken care of. So like
No,
the site improvements and house, what to do with a house, what to do with a site. That's not exactly part of a sample land management plan for a conservation property. Those are more immediate needs before you transition the land into some land plan that will serve the land for 5 years. But in my first draft, I had kind of a heading for those as implementation actions. So we could leave it there, but I might actually suggest a second format that you guys could consider. Whatever you're more comfortable with. It's still trying to gather those votes and recommendations in order to share them to the commission.
Okay. And as we go through that, I mean, we didn't take a lot of votes in the beginning. In fact, we haven't taken a lot of votes all the way through. It's more been consensus building. But if there are votes that we need to take, we can certainly do that. So John, I will try to get back anything that you.
The one other piece of old business is really, and we could come back to this, but under item number 3 in your charge, this parking and circulation task, access control. You guys didn't take a position on that. So depending on, I know you voted a recommendation on the building, and you might, after consultation with traffic and traffic advisory group, might support a concept over another concept. But once you've gotten to that point, you should address the access control. Are you in supportive of this? Are you supportive of it or not? So I guess you're going to have to get there. I can see you're going to progress to that. So maybe that's a future thing that you need to do. I still think you need to take a position on it. It's in your charge.
A position on.
So sticker resident only is parenthetically listed.
Okay.
Whether it's necessary or not is also listed.
I think we were going to discuss that again with Chief McDonald and.
I suggest you could circle back to this after you have a general parking and circulation preference, I guess, of where they need to control it for resident only. But this was part of your charge, so you should take a position on it.
We can do that. When we last discussed it way back in March, the idea of resident stickers was still abstract.
And I could even suggest you can even discuss this with traffic and the traffic advisory folks.
That's what I would.
They're starting to build pieces to have some type of parking enforcement in town. I know the chief's supportive of those, and the town meeting is kind of supportive of those. I don't know where they're currently at with that in terms of stickers, and then some way to enforce that with I don't know if they called it a parking officer. I can't, but we can get up to speed on that perhaps with the traffic folks, and then maybe you could circle back and vote a preference.
Okay, we can do that. Okay. What else? Let's hear from Alan McLennan. Alan?
Yeah, I just want to add that I thank you and the commission for at least allowing the Housing Trust to look at the possibility of saving this house. And I want to emphasize it can either be saved there or it can be saved somewhere else, which you are aware of. The charge that was given to me acting for the trust yesterday was to get some legal advice from Mike Ford. So I've asked John for some background information, which I don't have because I was deemed to be in conflict in this whole acquisition process. So I don't have any files on it. When I get that information, then I will go to the Housing Trust at its next meeting, which is the 15th, I think, of December, and we'll get permission to ask Mike Ford to clarify what can and cannot be done with that house. And given the guidelines that you found in Section 8 and I read yesterday, I think we need to have that discussion. I want to emphasize that the reason that I want to do this and the trust is doing it is that as you go down the road, if we don't do this, there's going to be somebody standing up and saying, did you look at this house for affordable housing? And the answer is yes, but how hard did you look at it? And I want to make sure that we understand what can and cannot be done there. So in a way, I'm trying to run interference for you. You may think that I'm interfering, but I'm trying to think ahead to what may come up in the future. Because ultimately the appropriation that you may need to deal with this house is going to have to go through the Board of Selectmen. And as you know, one of the highest priorities on the Board of Selectmen happens to be affordable housing. So that's why I'm involved, okay? And I may come a little hard sometimes, but I'm trying to think ahead to what may happen here in the future. As far as I'm concerned, if Mike Ford says you can't do it, that's the end of the discussion. And he then has opined on this specific issue. And then we don't have to worry about it anymore. And I'm willing to run the interference to find that out. If he says you can, then let's figure out how we can do it. That's where I'm coming from. And I thank you for listening to me.
That's great. Thank you. We have a slightly different charge, and
I understand.
so yes, Jack.
Jenny, two things on that. One is, remind me, John, you sent me emails or communication where Habitat and others were asked about moving this house for Quonset. I mean, that might be something that ought to be made available. I mean, I know you sent it to me. I don't know if everybody.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Okay,
So yeah, we
that's
did that. That was just, I can circulate that again. That was not a Mike Ford engagement. That was, I think we asked the Habitat folks to take a look at the house if there was any interest on their end, and they didn't have any interest.
The other thing is a Mike Ford, and that's his October 23rd, 2018 letter to John Kelly about 141 Portanimicut.
Yeah, and that I have, and that's actually the only time we've engaged a legal opinion from town council. That I can definitely share with Alan. Has along the deed information and the doings from the meeting, how the property was acquired, how it was paid for, and the Ford opinion. That opinion was solicited by the Board of Selectmen, Jack. We have it, we've circulated it at this level. I'll share it with Alan. But that was prepared for the Board of Selectmen. Conservation Commission was copied on it then, and we had it. You guys have seen it. I'll make sure everyone's got it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Alan has seen it, that's all.
Right.
That's going to Alan today if it hasn't already.
Sure.
When I was sitting on the Board of Selectmen, I was in conflict, so I couldn't participate.
Understood. Understood.
Okay.
Not a problem.
We'll get that to you.
I actually, if you need it sooner than John, nope, never mind.
No, Alan has emailed me, and I found it, and I have a marked up copy that I think I shared with you. I wanted him to have a clean copy, which I now have, and we'll email before I leave.
Thank you.
All right. We also, yes.
I've got to go to another meeting. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Ginnia, do you wish to speak?
No, thank you for the opportunity. I still feel very strongly about the things that I've expressed previously. So that doesn't change at all. I feel exceedingly strongly that on your chart, it should still have the possibility of the shellfish propagation or the educational classes, so that if there is a person, a caretaker permitted, that person could be considered under the umbrella of being able to fulfill educational classes or some capacity of possible shellfish propagation.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Ginny. I appreciate your comments.
But, Ginny, can I make a comment on that? Because I know Phil wanted to be here today, he's not, but we should include something. I don't want to call it a minority report. I mean, I don't think the shellfish was always tied to the building remaining in when we ranked uses, but when we get to writing the report, we should probably give that some attention.
Right.
I know.
In the very beginning, it was not necessarily tied to the building. There was the idea that there could be an upweller with solar panels that was not tied to the building.
I'm sensing that might score differently if we had a proposal of some sort, but right now we're talking conceptually, and when it was in the case where it was tied strongly to the building, it scored poorly. But Phil's was in the minority on our building vote, so it does deserve some attention reporting all that stuff to the commission in our final report. Even if it's a minority position, we should make sure it moves along.
Madam Chairman, could I also add to you and to John that I know from sitting in on the Shellfish Committee for the many years that I have, that the recommendation, which ended up being a 4-page recommendation, it took a couple years or a year and a half to come to that. And I think that it should be acknowledged in your final report. And if none of those things are possible, to say why they're not possible, because that was given a lot of consideration by another town committee, and it certainly serves it. So I think that should be integrated.
That letter will be included, as will any other letters we got from Open Space and OCT, and will be part of the history. And as far as I'm concerned, the final report, because anything we don't mention, the public hearing and the Conservation Commission won't know we discussed.
Right. That's why it needs to be in there.
So if there is nothing else, we're down to minutes. And I read the minutes. I think they are a good representation of the conversation we had. I had no edits. Does anyone else have edits? Seeing none, could I have a motion?
Acceptance of the minutes.
Second.
Okay, so motion by Jack and second by Kayleen. All those in favor, Ginny, aye. Russ?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Kayleen?
Aye.
It's 4-0-0. And I don't know why that just popped up, but let's get rid of it. And I will take a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else.
So moved.
Okay, so motion by Russ and second by Kayleen. All those in favor, Ginny, aye. Russ?
Aye.
Jack?
Aye.
Kayleen?
Aye.
4-0-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
In 2 weeks.
Okay.
All
Bye.
my meetings were this short.